Close your eyes just for a moment. Take a slow breath, as if time outside had slowed down. Maybe you've been feeling something hard to name. A persistent sense of being stuck, like something is holding you back and you can't quite explain why. Time goes by, but life doesn't flow. Days begin with a quiet hope for change and end with the same silent frustration. And inside you, a question repeats itself. Why do I keep feeling this weight? That pain often doesn't come from anything obvious. It's not in what you do or fail to do. It lives on a more subtle level. It's in what you repeat without noticing, in what you say to yourself without hearing it, in the silent commands that guide your steps before you even make a conscious choice. There's an invisible habit operating in silence, an emotional pattern so old it blends into who you think you are. Bruce Lipton reminds us, over 90% of what we do every day is driven by the subconscious, and the subconscious doesn't distinguish between past and present. It simply responds to what it was programmed with. And that programming often isn't even yours. It was inherited, repeated, installed like a silent line of code acting behind your conscious intentions. Gregg Braden expands this view by saying the intelligent field that connects all things doesn't respond to what you want. It responds to what you repeat. Not your conscious requests, but your dominant vibration, the one born from habits, from recurring emotions, from language you use without noticing. Imagine for a moment that your body is a software system, a complex yet deeply sensitive one. And that invisible habit is a faulty line of code running in the background. You can't see it, but it's there. And the more you ignore it, the more it drains your energy, the more it sabotages your clarity, the more it distorts your vibration. This invisible code shows up in many forms, sometimes as an automatic thought that this won't work, other times as a silent complaint, a self-judgment, a moment of comparison, a delay disguised as planning, or just the impulse to check your phone the second you wake up. Small patterns that seem harmless, but carry enormous weight. And maybe that's what's dragging you down. Not a major failure, not a single mistake, but a habit. A recurring behavior that looks neutral, but is programming your field for stagnation. And it's not your fault. That matters to say. You haven't failed, you're not behind. You've just been caught in a cycle you didn't choose consciously, and now, maybe for the first time, you're looking at it with presence. Maybe today is the moment a new awareness begins to emerge. A gentle but firm awareness. A quiet yet powerful decision. The decision to reprogram what's invisible. Because what you repeat, you manifest. And what you interrupt with kindness, you transform. Bruce Lipton teaches that we don't change our lives by trying to fix the outside world. We change our lives when we shift the internal program that interprets that world. And it begins with something simple, a moment of silence, a pause between impulse and reaction. That invisible habit might be complaining, even silently. Criticizing yourself at the first mistake, thinking you'll never make it. Comparing yourself to others, waiting for the right moment. Or grabbing your phone before you even take your first breath. Each of these small behaviors activates a command, and a repeated command becomes a frequency, and a sustained frequency becomes your reality. But all of this can be rewritten, and that rewriting begins with awareness. Take a deep breath. Bring to mind one invisible habit that's been repeating in your days. Just notice. No blame, no judgment. Just see it. Like turning on the light in a room that's been dark for years. Now, choose one gesture for today, just one. Maybe it's going 1 hour without mentally complaining. Maybe it's saying, I value this in me when you recognize something good. Maybe it's doing one small task before breakfast. Maybe it's keeping your phone away for the first 15 minutes of the day. Maybe it's breathing deeply the next time you catch yourself comparing. The gesture doesn't need to be big. It needs to be conscious. It needs to be chosen, because as Gregg Braden said, the field doesn't respond to what you want. It responds to what you are. And you are what you hold in the invisible. If you can hold a new vibration, even for a few moments, you begin to open space for a new reality, not outside, inside. And what if what's dragging you down isn't a weight, but the way you breathe every day without noticing you're drowning? Today you can breathe differently. Today you can stop. Stop the habit that's sabotaging you and start a new path, quiet but vibrant. Because in the silence of one gesture lives the seed of a new life, and that seed is already in your hands. Complaining doesn't have to be out loud to have an impact. Often it lives as a quiet murmur inside, a chronic sense of resistance, a negative filter through which everything is seen. It repeats within like a cold, constant breeze, slowly cooling your joy, your presence, your faith. Bruce Lipton teaches that emotions release hormones, and hormones change the cellular environment. When you complain, even silently, you're releasing chemicals that signal lack, danger, resistance. You prepare your body to fight, not to create, to survive, not to expand. But there is a simple key to break this cycle: conscious silence. A pause, 3 seconds. Just 3 seconds of presence after each critical thought. A space between impulse and repetition. That silent interval holds great power. It deprograms. It breaks the automatic command. It opens a new neural path. And on that path, a new energy can rise. Comparison is subtle. It often starts as an innocent observation and quickly turns into judgment, into a wound, into inner rejection. Comparing yourself to others activates epigenetic memories of not being enough, often inherited or reinforced during childhood. Bruce Lipton reminds us that emotional environments shape genetic expression. If your inner world is soaked in comparison, your biology responds by retreating. It suppresses the genes of confidence, vitality, and expansion. There is a gentle way to reverse this. Write down one real personal quality every day, something small but true. Then say out loud, "I value this in me." It might sound simple, but that new phrase becomes a new command, a new frequency, a reconciliation with your own light. Waiting for the perfect moment can sound wise, but often it's fear in disguise. It's the invisible habit of spiritual paralysis wrapped in logic. While you wait, your body enters defense mode, and in defense nothing flows. This habit of delay is a subtle form of self-sabotage, a quiet self-deception. You say you're planning, but you're postponing. You say you're preparing, but you're hiding. There's a simple technique to break the cycle. Choose one micro-action that takes less than 5 minutes and do it before breakfast. It doesn't matter what it is. What matters is the decision. Because it's the decision, not the intention, that activates your vibration. Waking up and checking your phone may seem harmless, but in truth, it's reprogramming your brain. It trains your nervous system to seek immediate external reward before it even connects with inner awareness. Bruce Lipton and neuroscience show that digital stimulation first thing in the morning lowers activity in the prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain that handles conscious decision-making, planning, and spiritual alignment. What if you protected your first 15 minutes each morning? No screens, no notifications, just breath, silence, and intention. You could write one word to hold for the day. You could place your hand on your heart. You could simply offer gratitude. This tiny ritual becomes energetic protection. It prepares your field before the world enters. It aligns your frequency before anything else tries to change it. Over time, it's no longer a practice. It's a way of living. Imagine living in a house with a tiny gas leak. You can't see it, you don't smell it, but day by day, your body weakens, your mind becomes cloudy, your energy fades, until one day you don't even have the strength to get out. That's what the invisible habit does. It doesn't shout. It doesn't shake you. It simply drains. Slowly, silently. It steals your clarity, your spark, your direction. A therapist once realized that his anxiety stemmed from 3 automatic phrases he'd been mentally repeating for years. Within 10 days of replacing them with intentional affirmations, his sleep improved, his focus returned, his clarity reawakened. Identifying the invisible habit is like lighting a candle inside a foggy room. At first, the light is small, but as it grows, you begin to see where you are. And once you see where you are, you can finally choose where to go. You're not here to relive the past or to be ruled by inherited patterns. Bruce Lipton says, "You don't change your life by changing the world outside. You change it by shifting the inner program that interprets that world." Gregg Braden adds, "The field responds to your dominant frequency, and that frequency is set by your habits. Not your wishes, your habits. What you repeat without noticing, you manifest without realizing. Sometimes what drowns you isn't weight. It's the way you breathe every day without knowing you're suffocating. So, now, take a breath. Be still. Ask yourself, what invisible habit do you want to release today? Not all of them, just one. And choose a micro-act, a small step, a pause, a breath, a gesture, a new word, a bit of light you bring into the fog, because every great transformation begins like this, in the detail. And that detail can change everything. Are you ready to choose differently?